So on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how many watercolored devils painted on your body would you give the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus?
I would give it 10 because it's like a world. I'm like, I want to crawl. I want to go.
Yes.
Back in time and be there. And that's really, when I see things like that, that's what it makes me feel like,
Yeah.
So I would give it a 10. But, I would say this. Did we talk about Slade In Flame? I would give that a 10 too.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
I mean, maybe I should give Rock and Roll Circus a 9 and give Slade In Flame a 10.
I think that's fair. I think that's the first time it's been done on the show that a film has crept in the last minute and overtook the original topic. So
I know, which we should just do a whole new episode.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on Revolutions Per Movie. My guest here is Dave Hill. Today we're going to be talking about Slade In Flame.
Did anyone do that one yet?
No.
Oh man, I've screwed up. No, I love that, and I'm the biggest Slade fan, I believe. Even though there are some people will say it's Monty Connor from Roadrunner, or I don't know what label he's at right now, but someone told me he's the biggest Slade fan in America, but I believe I am.
Well, I'd love to have you back on to talk Slade In Flame at some point, because I feel like that is a really deep cut that many people haven't seen. And it sounds like, as the world's largest Slade fan, it's you.
Top 5, easy. I just downgraded myself.
And the other four above you are the members of Slade. So
yeah, and their guitar player's name is Dave Hill. So
that's right. Oh my God.
And that's total coincidence. Even
same haircut too.
Like that hasn't. Yeah, it's exactly. It has nothing to do with my love of the band.
Well, everyone, check out Slade In Flame, as well as Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus. Dave, it was so good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Rip it up.
Rip it out. Ace Frehley.
Hey everybody, welcome to this bonus emergency meeting of Revolutions Per Movie. As you just heard on the previous episode with my guest today, we realized we'd screwed up, that we shouldn't have been talking about Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus. We should have been talking about Slade In Flame. And I'm so happy to bring back to the show Dave Hill. Hi, Dave.
Oh, hello, Chris. Thank you for having me.
I know we have a lot to talk about with Slade, but I do
always
want to take a minute here because I feel like no one's talking about Ace Frehley anymore.
Oh.
I mean, do you know what I mean? Like,
well, you heard the news. He died.
I did. Okay. I heard the news, but that's what I mean.
Like, I mean, I was a huge fan, as a kid. Like, he was always my favorite Kiss member, especially, from the very beginning. I was like a little kid and, having like this girl in grade school that I had a huge crush on. Her sister was a huge Kiss fan, and my neighbor had the comic book, and I was always... Ace all the way. Like, I never really identified at all with any of the other
me either
Kiss members. Like, I will say, will say, as much as I think Gene Simmons is a loathsome human being and the band completely destroyed their legacy, Gene Simmons was on like PM Magazine, or like one of those kind of like light news shows.
Sure.
That used to be on a lot, or there's still plenty of light news shows, I guess. And he did like some interview, and he was like, don't try to fit in, be weird. Like, and I remember, I was really young when I saw it, and I remember like it really resonated. I was like, oh, I don't have to try to fit in. And so I'll always thank him for that.
That's amazing, because most people get it from like punk or new wave. It's kind of amazing that this mega band was like, be weird. And it totally resonates. I get it.
Yeah, because it was like, when I was into them when I was, in like third grade and stuff. Yeah. And so it wasn't like a lot of kids were into it.
People were freaked out about Kiss.
Yeah, like my dad got me a Kiss t-shirt when I was about that age. I asked for it at the like local iron-on store. This place, Daffy Dams in Cleveland.
Nice.
And I got the cover of Kiss Dynasty. I got like a t-shirt with that cover on it. And my dad was like, "Oh, he's going to be on drugs in a week now."
Yeah, right.
But I do think it's horrible how much they've shit on their legacy. God. But I still have a soft spot. I mean, going like to the public library and when you could take out like records and like bringing home like Dress to Kill and the first record and just being like completely mystified and into that world and like Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. Like when that was on TV, I couldn't believe it that I was seeing this on TV.
Me too. I remember it's one of my formative moments. I was watching it at my grandparents' house. So my parents must have been gone for something. And I just remember being in sleeping bags on the floor and being kind of scared to watch this with my grandparents. Like they are going to think I'm going to go start using drugs next week.
Totally. And like, at that, as a time when, there wasn't, you couldn't take, I mean, I guess you could do a VCR. We didn't have a VCR.
It's pretty early, 78. I don't think many people had a VCR by then.
No. And like, just like something like that, being like a little kid, you basically have your parents and all of your siblings, like, who could easily change the channel at any moment or turn the TV off. And so you're like, oh my God, I have to guard this situation so heavily to make sure nothing goes wrong and I get to watch this, Right. It was the same thing, like, they were on like 60 Minutes or one of those shows. And it was the same thing. I was like, can we please watch this? Can please no one get up and change the channel while I'm watching the greatest
please
in the possibly in the world.
It's weird. I do have a question about Ace's playing though, because I can't do what you do. I'm not a shredder. I don't know scales. I don't know how to do what you do. The thing, is there a technical term for the thing where someone goes and it like builds and it gets faster and faster? Is there?
Oh, and he kind of does, and then the smoke bomb goes off in his guitar.
Yeah, well, I guess that's specific, but I mean in terms of like
you have to do it really fast for that.
Yeah, but a weird like slow motion build into like super fast shredding. Is there a term for something like that?
Hitting the accelerator or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what that's called.
Is that easy to do? Like once you know kind of where to where to sit on a guitar?
I guess so. I mean, like thinking like of, the kind of licks that Ace is playing are not like super technically hard or anything like that. But,
right.
But the thing about technical playing, like, is kind of, I don't know. It's like there's never that can be like fun and flashy and exciting, but it's like, it always goes back to, I don't know. I'm just taking a broader non-Kiss point, but non-Ace point. But it's just like kind of like I view like shredding kind of playing, which I feel like I can only marginally do some of it.
What?
But it's kind to me like
no. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I always think I'm terrible.
No,
I always
you're
think
amazing. Come on.
I always think I can barely play.
Come on. I get it. I get it. It is. I mean, some of the nature of shredding feels like it is supposed to almost. My favorite guitar players are the ones where it feels like it's losing control a bit. And so somewhere in between like Greg Ginn and like early Metallica.
Yeah, totally. I think like if there's, for me, music, especially rock music or in the broad definition, it has to feel like it's going to go off the rails. And if it doesn't, I have no interest. Like I really liked the band Ghost when they first. I mean, I don't dislike them at this point. I guess I've kind of lost interest or haven't kept up with them. But though when I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's good. But those first couple records I really loved, and then I went to see them, and it was so perfect. Everything, like I would listen, I'd be like, I can't even tell the difference from the record. And I was just like, I don't ever need to see this again because there's no chance of anything going off the rails at any point. So for me, that I have no interest in perfection.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what's funny about those Kiss live records is they're heavily re-recorded like most live records.
Oh, like, yeah, Kiss Alive 2 is like rumored to have been recorded at the Hid Factory, basically.
Yeah, Eddie Kramer was like, we basically looped the best audience parts, and Gene and Paul were so bad at singing in the mic because they were running around being maniacs and knocking mic stands over that they're like, but this shocked me that Peter Criss's drum tracks were used on Kiss Alive. They were like, those were salvageable. So, I know he gets kind of a bum rap as like, I mean, they all do in their own ways, but yeah, it's weird because I hadn't listened to Kiss Alive in a while, and I just was like, man, I know every inch of this record. And it is, he has his thing, it's just like he has his lane that Ace stayed in. And there was never a part where you're like, oh my God, like this is unexpected. But I just wanted to ask you because it's just weird, the things that when somebody passes is just like, oh my God, like they meant the world to me. And
yeah, no, I love, I mean, Ace, yeah, I love his playing and on all the Kiss, with when he was in the band and
his solo record's great.
His solo record is hands down the best one. Like it's really the only one that I will like. Who can even name us? There's nothing on those other records really.
No, you got Snowblind, Fractured Mirror, Speeding Back to My Baby,
Rip It Out. I mean, that whole record is great. That's a great record. I would argue it's better than any Kiss record.
I would totally agree with you. I totally agree.
I don't care who comes after me for saying.
No,
but
I agree.
I don't know. I think like especially Ace. I think the romance of it, like in the not romantic, like relate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been more exciting if he disappeared and didn't. Though he made cool solo records. After he left Kiss, he did a lot of cool stuff, for sure.
I went from Kiss to Cheap Trick to Devo, and it all made sense. They were all super visual, super conceptual, like identity-driven performers, right? Like they had their characters,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, Cheap Trick is similar. Like you kind of had, Robin Zander and Tom Peterson, the kind of like
foxes,
pretty boys, the front cover guys.
Oh, it's so and good still.
And then you just have weird, nerdy Rick Nielsen, and then like, Bunny Carlos, who looks like TV repairman or something. I don't know.
It's so great. I mean, just imagine the day where they're like, okay, this is our visual identity as Cheap Trick. And everyone had to be like, cool, I guess. I wonder if there was a point where they're like, Tom Peterson was like, you're going to wear like a baseball cap and like bug your eyes out. And you're going to like, what? Like, you're going to cut your hair and look like an accountant, but it's just.
Oh, he's probably more like, cool. There's only one guy in this band I have to worry about competition wise.
Yeah. Well, that was our good hard rock chunk leading into our Slade chunk now.
Well, Slade basically inspired Cheap Trick.
Absolutely. So when did you find out about Slade?
I mean, the first time was when, Run Away was on MTV when I was a kid. That would have been my first exposure to them. And then I guess around the same time, then you kind of learn Quiet Riot, essentially made their career off of covering Slade. Also, like, this is not to go down this whole road, but I would always read interviews like, "Oh, we didn't want to do Come On, Feel the Noise," and we just did one take of it, and that was that. And it's like, no, you changed the arrangement. Like it was, you definitely put a lot of thought into it, because there's things but the Slade version is, Slade is one of my favorite bands, and it's funny, when I first started going to the UK a lot, like 2008, I think I started going a lot, and I was like, cool, now there's people I can talk with about Slade,
right?
And going to UK doesn't really provide really that many more opportunities than I expected. I thought it'd be like, everyone's going to want to talk about Slade, but really, like, I'll, you just say to someone, they're like, "Oh yeah, the Christmas song." I'm like, "Yeah, no," but
I had the same thing happen when I went to the UK and I saw Roy Wood of Wizard play, right? About, like 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, I love Wizard.
Again, you went to see him and people sat down, unless it was, he's playing like move songs and deep cuts, and he's doing the song he did with Cheap Trick. He comes out, does bagpipes. It was an amazing show, but people only stood when the Christmas songs came out. It was amazing. I'm like, there's just this thing where the Christmas single is such a weird UK thing. It's such a big deal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's also like, it's odd because I can't think of any Christmas song I like.
Yeah, same here.
Other than like the Slade one is just a great song.
Yeah. No, I agree. No Caroline for me. But that song, yeah, it's just, there's something about it that it doesn't push the feel of Christmas down your throat. Where, like, when Paul McCartney does, it's like Christmas time, everybody, there's something about it that's just like, they could have thrown other lyrics on it and it would have been just as good.
Yeah, totally. And then they basically, although I don't know, like the summer song is what's it called? It might even be called Summer Song. The Slade song that's basically, Summer Song, Wishing You Were Here, from Slade In Flame, is basically, they're just like, oh, what if we do a summer song? It's basically the same song as the Christmas song. So I don't know which came first.
Yeah, Slade's really interesting. So they were kind of like British skinhead kind of kids in the 60s.
Well, I think the skinhead phase that they had was just like, was bandwagon jumping. I think that, as I understand it, their managers were like, "You guys should be skinheads. Do that." And then they were like, "Okay." And then they got like haircuts.
Right.
But that was just like a weird phase they went. I think that is just as odd as when they or I don't know, I guess the 80s, horrible, they kind of were like, had their hair was like a bit more voluminous. And I was reading about them the other night in preparation for our chat, and I didn't realize that they actually moved to the States at one point to try to conquer the States, like probably around the time of Runaway, like early 80s. But no, I love Slade. Just today, I got an email from someone thinking we haven't touched on the fact that their guitar player is named Dave Hill.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
And I get emails occasionally from people who think that I'm him, which is bizarre to me, that someone would go to my website and be like, "Yep, this is the guy."
But how would you describe to someone who hasn't seen what Dave Hill of Slade looks like?
Just this glam rock, like gnome or something. Weird sort of like high fringe haircut, may or may not be a wig at one point. I don't know.
It's cut so far back too. The bangs are really high, like on his forehead.
Yeah, and I love reading, like, supposedly, like, he would get these, the crazy outfits he would wear, and, like, not the other band. He would, like, kind of surprise his bandmates with what he was going to wear that night. And supposedly he would always say, like, to Noddy Holder and Jim Lee, you write them, I'll sell them, which I love that.
So Jim and Noddy, the bass player and the singer, guitar player, wrote most of the songs then.
Yeah, I think pretty much, yeah. There was the two of them. I think Jim did the music primarily, and Noddy did the lyrics.
They were so massive leading up to this film, too. They were like the world's band.
Yeah, they were. I mean, just like something like 21 top 10 or 20 singles or whatever. Gives me like nostalgia for a time and place I've never known, like early 70s England, which is, I think, when I was meant to live or like grow up. I think I was meant to be older than I am and have like kind of been in my 20s in about 1972 in England and London, I think, because everything with Slade, and then just all this stuff with then like the punk scene and Vivienne Westwood and all that. Like whenever I read about those eras, I'm just like, and I mean, like I put on Slade, and I have nostalgia for this, like this world that I imagine.
Yeah, no, it's weird because, people, make fun of like the early 70s of Gentle Giant or Yes, but you're like, you had Dr. Feelgood as well. Simple but powerful performances and these records coming out that weren't progressive at all. And it just seems like people like, I don't know, I just feel like there was so much like great, simple garage rock still coming out at this era.
Totally. I mean, God, like Dr. Feelgood, like there's a live, I mean, sure, there's probably multiple live versions of them playing She Does It Right on YouTube, but there's one.
I know which one you're talking about.
Where like, where Wilco is going like moving, walking back and like forward and backward really fast.
It's on a television show. It's on a regional television show. I had that bootleg at the store. I played that like every other day because it just made me feel so good to look up and just see him and the bass player just using that space. He's doing the thing where he's looking over everyone's head, like just to stare into the back. And he's not using a pick. He's playing with his hands and he's just shredding. And like within 40 seconds, they're all drenched in sweat in front of these teenagers in this regional show, like it's really,
it's so good.
It's amazing. I'll put a link to that performance because to me, I've done that before because of that thing. I'll just be like, I'm just going to do that tonight. Walk back and forth.
It's such a great move.
It is.
Like it's
underused.
It is. I mean, to me, like when you see it, you're just like, why doesn't everyone do this?
Yes, exactly. So being a massive Slade fan, is this film and the energy and the music in this film an anomaly? Because this film is very like dramatic and very real and not colorful. You know what I mean? It's like a kitchen sink drama, a fictionalized story too. It's not even the Slade story where they're playing other bands. Like, where did you first see it? And like, what's your initial take when you saw it as a Slade fan?
I think I just heard about it and just got like the DVD. I think that's where I first saw it. But then it was on YouTube for a while. I don't think it is anymore.
It isn't. No.
But I love it. Yeah, it is kind of like, because the band is like kind of, so it has like all these anthems and kind of like good time, like again, you go like on YouTube, there's, the old Gray Whistle Test and different like concert footage, and it's just like good time, awesome party rock. And then the movie's kind of this depressive scenario. This band, it kind of ends, it's kind of this downbeat movie, but there's silliness in it. But I also love, I love like really depressive English things.
Me too.
Like there's something I find really funny, and I don't know, like I love, like when I first started going to London a lot, I would stay in these like bed and breakfasts like around Russell Square that, I mean, they're still there now, and they're just so depressing, but in this way that I found like chef's kiss.
I totally am the same way. Like when I go over there, I'm so happy to have like a traditional breakfast in a room with like where I'm the only one eating in this kind of place that feels run down. I don't know. I dig it.
Oh yeah. Like there's like, some buddies of mine there, my friends Andrew and Pete, we go to like, they kind of have a few pubs that they like to go to. They're big pub fans. And there was this one called the Calthorpe Arms, I think. And it's still there, but like when they first started taking me there, it was like such a rundown, like depressing pub where like you would go there and I swear people were like just showing up straight from the hospital and like they'd be like, I just gotta and it was just so hilarious to go there, and then they kind of, someone bought it or something and they redid the place into like kind of a trendy pub, and then they were like, no, we don't go there
Not
anymore.
our local anymore. We're done.
Yeah. But I love that. I love the kind of weird, like horribly, like weirdly, brightly lit, completely silent pubs.
Yeah, they're silent.
Well, I mean, that's across the board. Like in the UK, the lack of volume alone, like I would love to move there for that reason alone. The fact that, most places you go aren't cranking music.
Right.
To, like in America, my theory is that they crank music everywhere to cover for people's inability to hold a conversation. And whereas in the UK, it's the opposite. Like stuff is quiet so people can talk and also speak at a normal, no, people don't really yell there.
Yeah. And also the history of things. It's just so funny. Like when I was in Edinburgh last time, a friend of my wife was taking us to this place where it's, really old, and they still have this, it's named after this dog who was lost and then found its owner and went all these miles to, find them, the bar owner. And she starts crying while she's telling the story.
What was the pub called?
Lost Dog Central. I can't remember. This film is filled with lots of locations like that too, where the gold curtain behind the band and just the seediness and the smallness of a bingo hall kind of vibe, where so many bands that we love in the UK came up in that system of just playing these, drinking man's pubs, that like at night they're like, okay, we're gonna have a band that plays.
Oh yeah,
just to bring in a little youth, but mostly it was like older people just wanting to drink and not really interested.
The workingmen's clubs.
The workingmen's clubs, like correct.
Yeah. I love those. I mean, there's like a lot of them, they're like, there's old like military clubs and they're like barely touched, and you go in and it's like a time machine.
Yeah.
My band Valley Lodge, like one of our records was actually, the cover is a picture that I took in the Bethnal Green Workingmen's Club.
Yeah.
In London. And it was like, I kind of cropped it to look more depressing than it was. the original photo, like if you look, there was a bunch of people hanging out, but then I was able to crop it to look very sad, which is, again, I love.
Yeah. And it's funny, when I was talking to Paul Hanley of The Fall, I mean, The Fall played those working men's clubs all the time initially. You know, it was just like all over Northern England, you know. But this film is weird too, because it was directed by Richard Loncraine, I think is how you say his name, who did like Brimstone and Treacle, which is a super, obviously, intense Dennis Potter TV film that was made into a film with Sting later on. He did Band of Brothers, you know, and he's making this film with these rock stars. You know, Tom Conte is in it, you know, who is like a serious British actor who, you know, is playing a manager at some point. And, you know, there's just like these weird things where they're kind of all in on the sophistication of telling this story about these rival bands that are going to get together at some point to become the band Flame. And I just, like, before I saw this film and I ordered Slade In Flame, the DVD, for my video store, I didn't know what that title meant. Yeah, I just thought it was so weird. I was like, Slade In Flame, it's going to be a Slade film. But it's, Flame is the fictional band that Slade are playing. And there were like a novelization was written, you know, for this. They had so much, they put so much into this film in terms of like, we're musicians ready to crack the next frontier, which is movies. And I just think it's such an interesting choice for a band that just had so much energy and sparkling hits to this film where a lot of it is just like downtime. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of the film is them hanging out in a jail cell or waiting to go on stage or in a manager's office or at a wedding. It's like not a lot of like, wow, pizzazz.
Yeah. It's not. No, you like. There's very little like the feeling of Slade is like, you know, just like the big shows and stuff. There's not that much of that. There's more just like. But I do find it like, I don't know. It's kind of really like, I was rewatching it the other night, and then it kind of just sent me down this like wormhole of like listening to Slade and just like kind of drifting off to sleep. Just imagining this world and just the era of like when they were doing it and just like the way they did it. You know, like in the Naughty Holder book, just like they did stuff like, you know, just talking about, they were like, oh, we wired all our amps so everything was coming out of every amp, which is insane.
Oh, wow. So all signals, so bass into the guitar amp over there as well.
Everything was coming out of everything.
Wow.
It's very like, because they just wanted to like assault everybody. Yeah. And instead of having like, oh, Naughty's amps here, Dave's amps over here.
Oh, that makes so much
Jim's
sense.
Amps over here.
Yeah.
And like, just you know, like the fact that every song has like a boot stomping and clapping and just like Don Powell's drum beats, like I always stop and listen to what he's playing because he's never playing like just like it's like it's like this. He does all this weird stuff. No, I'm getting away from the movie.
No. This is Slade time, my friend. You are fine. Okay. Stay here.
One thing I'll tell you is it's just a passing, you know, few sentences but you know, in their kind of like broke period before, you know, they, you know, were successful. They were like living in, you know, some whatever
shithole
bedsit or whatever.
Right.
And there was a guy that would pay them to he would lie down in a bathtub and they would like shit on him.
Oh my God.
I can't remember if they shit on him. I think they shit on him. They definitely shit. It had something to do with the guy being in the bathtub and them shitting.
Right.
And they would be like, yeah, we just made, you know, he'd give us like 20 pounds or whatever.
Wow.
And so like, that was like,
didn't make it into this.
It's just a passing few sentences in the book. And then it's like, and then we're on top of the pops, or whatever. I don't know why I brought it up. I guess, how could I not?
Well, I think it's because of the urinal scene in this film where you see the piss streams hitting the urinal.
Yeah, arguably unnecessary scene.
Yeah. But I think that, supposedly the director, they basically went out with the band in the US for like 6 weeks, and people are just collecting stories. And I mean, imagine spending time with Slade in the US and the amount of stuff they could fill your head with if just 2 sentences in this book is about crapping on someone to get paid when they were struggling. I'm sure that even though this is, a fictionalized thing, I'm sure there were things where there were like the thing where Naughty is like, he's in the coffin and they've nailed him in so he can't get out. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm sure they saw like maybe Screaming Lord Such get in trouble or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely like there it just feels like, okay, this part, the first half of this film feels like them telling like what it was like to be broke, wheel your equipment in, play to no one, argue, is this worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. And it just has that feel. And then the second half where they become Flame and they have new management, it just takes such a weird, to me, like surreal turn, even though it's still based in reality. Like that scene where they're on the pirate radio station in the middle of the sea and they're playing their single, and then basically they're getting shot at by helicopters. They're attacking the pirates radio station, the government is. And I'm like, I didn't know that happened. Did it happen? Like, was pirate radio stations being gunned down? Like, it's such a weird thing. Such a weird little plot point in it for them to then get the notoriety to become huge as Flame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think of that? I mean, it just was weird.
Yeah, the whole movie's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a big rock and roll party.
No.
You would expect.
No, it isn't. Do you think the music in this, like, is this a record that you visit much? The soundtrack to this record?
Well, I mean, How Does It Feel is a great song. Yep. I was reading Noel Gallagher was saying that he believes it to be one of the greatest rock songs of all time, and I would agree with that.
That's a great song.
It's such like anytime I hear it, I'm just like part of it is like, because you're like it, it's kind of a slow burn, but then you're just like, oh my god, it just like keeps. Do you know? No. And then Far, Far Away, which is one of the greatest songs of all time. Again, I remember I heard that at Newark Airport sometime in the last couple of years, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I felt seen, as people say these days. But I was just like, somebody somewhere was like, I'm making a generic playlist for Newark Airport, and I'm going to slip Far, Far Away by Slade. I was like, whoever did this is a beautiful person.
I don't know. Or maybe they saw your name come in when you checked in, and they're just like, Dave Hill's in the airport. We got to play.
Oh, maybe. It could have been.
Paging Dave Hill.
It's weird. I did a show at this comedy club in Connecticut, and there was some sort of music playing, and I went into the dressing room and there was music playing, and then my band Painted Doll came on, like in this playlist. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling this story.
Because the name Dave Hill rings, is what I'm saying. It rings out.
I guess it somehow makes playlists adapt or something.
Yeah.
But I was really blown away. But yeah, when I heard Slade at the Newark Airport, that was really felt pretty good. But then that song, So Far, So Good, is great. I've actually been, that's kind of been my song of the week. And, you know, kind of in preparation for today talking to you, I was like, I've been just kind of naturally, I mean, I'm kind of always in a Slade phase. It's not a phase really, but I'll go in, you know, where I'm really listening to a lot of Slade, and sometimes I'm not listening to that much Slade, but I'm in a heavy Slade. I was talking to a friend last night. I didn't want to say who it is because I don't want to embarrass him for having, but I was like, thought that he would love Slade, and he's like, you know, I haven't been able to like get into it, and it made me go like, it made me think less of him. But then I was like, no, I think I just need to put a playlist together for him, because you know, they're kind of like, there's, if you were to just go on and, you know, and listen to like the kind of squeeze me, please me songs, like if you went down kind of the wrong, it would be easy to dismiss Slade as less than they are.
No, if you come out with the bangers, it's like you could really grab someone by the collar and take them along really easily.
Yeah, but I think, you have to go like, you know, you got to get the far, far away. You got to get, I mean, Goodbye to Jane is my favorite song by them. But then there's My Friend Stan. Come on.
Dave Hill as a guitar player, and you, Dave Hill, as a guitar player, what does he bring to them? Like, have you ever been able to emulate what he does?
Yeah, I mean, they're both, he and Nadi are pretty melodic players. You know, there's not like big solo-y stuff. There's solos and stuff, but it's all like pretty like, you know, down, just kind of nice
melody lines.
Yeah. And another, I mean, that like they also play like, I love guitars in general, and they play a lot of, I think in the movie there's some cool ones, but they play like, you know, Dave Hill played a lot of John Birch guitars, like English builder who made, you know, Distant Stuff for Tony Iommi, and JD. I have a JD, but I don't have it in the room right now. Otherwise, it'd be a good Slade guitar to hold up right now. And I'm trying to buy a John Birch guitar right now just solely because of Slade. But anyway, they play like a lot of English guitars that are basically like, you know, approximations. You know, 'cause there's all those like English companies like Burns and
right.
JD and John Birch and stuff of that era, and they play a lot of those guitars, and in addition to like the Gibsons.
Well, and they have, when they become Flame, they have like the Flame equipment in the film.
Oh yeah, the Flame. There's this scene in the movie where they come off stage and they smash one of the guitars, and you're like, that was made in like a half an hour out in the parking lot. Like, yes. That's not a real guitar. It just completely crumbles, and you're like, that's like made of nothing. You know?
No, it's so funny. The film, like at some point, there's a pirate radio station being shot at, and then immediately it's like, now we're on the 5th album. Like, Slade are just huge. There's a lot of infighting. They've got their Flame outfits and the satin jackets, mm-hmm. and the Flame car and the Flame guitar and the headstock of the Flame. And it's just like, it's really kind of funny because Slade had a uniform like Cheap Trick. They all had a style, but they never dressed the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Nadi was like top hats, right, with mirrors, plaid pants, and like, well, you know, getting back to Cheap Trick, supposedly like Rick Nielsen went to London when he was like 16 or something to go see shows and stuff, which I thought was like the coolest thing I've ever heard, that like an American teenager would go to London. I mean, I went to London when I was like 19 or something for the first time, pre-internet, pre-anything, and not pre-anything, but like to even think that he went, back like whatever year it must have been when he went. But I don't know if it wouldn't have been on that trip, but supposedly they did go to England and saw Slade before Cheap Trick was formed. They said they used every Cheap Trick in the book in their show, and that's where the name Cheap Trick came from.
If you're 16 and going over to the UK in the mid-70s, it's not like Slade is playing on any given night. You know what I mean? It's not like there was a way to get something where it's like, oh, I've got their tour dates. It's like you're just landing and then you're just being like, what's going on? I hope I get to see something. Where are the record store? Where are the music stores? Where are the people? Where does Slade hang out? Probably is what he was doing too. Probably stalking them.
Oh, completely. Like, I'm still determined to meet Slade at some point. I was reading last night about them again in preparation, and it said that Naughty lives in like somewhere like near. It says the town, I can't remember, but near Manchester. And I was like, oh, I guess I should just go to that town and wander around until I see him.
You never know. Like when I was in Wales, they're like, hey, Dave Edmonds is down at the pub if you want to, like just sometimes people just hang out, It'd
be amazing. And like, I have a friend whose dad like went to school with Naughty Holder, and he was just like, so he was trying to orchestrate some summit between us.
Wow.
Which I can't imagine that Naughty Holder would be interested in, but.
Oh, no, come on. We're going to make it happen, people. Come on,
maybe.
Listeners.
I got to stop selling myself short.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you about the vibe of the last third of this film, where the previous manager comes in, gangster type to Tom Conte, who has taken over Flame's contract. And basically, Tom Conte hires someone to steal back the contract, and they get their toes cut off. And then they're shown photos like, like this is what's happened, and, they destroy his house and write on the wall, what do they write? Oh, Rockabye Baby, with a teddy bear ripped apart. It's just like dark, and it doesn't, the band is not really in these moments as much because the band's falling apart at this point. Again, it's more in line with like those films you're talking about that aren't even about music, that are just like depressing, weird, like films like Scrubbers and things like that. They're just bleak, and or have you ever seen Scum or Scrubbers?
I don't know if I have.
Oh, you're going to be in hog heaven.
All right.
Yeah. Scum has a young Phil Daniels pre-quadrophenia in it. And
nice.
Scrubbers takes place in like a teenage girls institution. And they're both fantastic.
Slade In Flame is kind of the harder they come of British glam rock.
That's perfect. Perfect.
Which is another amazing movie, which we should do next time.
Yes, absolutely.
You must have already done that one.
No, because people keep coming in with like, hey, I want to talk about the Sun City Girls VHS tape. And there's all these big titles. No one's done Hard Day's Night. No one's done Song Remains the Same. No one's done Don't Look Back. People are coming in with like really weird, obscure films.
Oh.
So yeah, Harder They Come. Incredible. It's just hanging there for someone to talk about. But you totally nailed it. It's like a fictionalized story with some truth baked in. And it has that 16 millimeter like natural lighting. Like, so if something's underlit, it's going to be underlit. We're not going to pretty or set dress anything.
There's some good appearances of Toast in this movie.
I missed it. Tell me. I can't remember.
Really just on the train when they're in the train in the beginning of the movie. Don Powell is in the first class seat and he orders an English breakfast. And but I perked up when I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, am I making this up? But just the negativity on people's idea of British food. I mean, there's horrible food everywhere, but I'm into it. I like stewed tomatoes and the mushrooms and the toast and the beans and the sausage. I'm like, I don't know, it makes me happy.
Me too. I'm into all of it. I'm off bangers and meat basically. But I still like I don't know. I always eat very well when I'm in the UK.
Yeah, me too.
Also, my hot tip. I mean, obviously Indian food's amazing in the UK. Pizza. Really good in the UK. You wouldn't think it. It's great.
Do you know the last time I was in Edinburgh, we were walking by two places on one street and they had deep fried pizza.
Oh, well, they love to deep fry things there.
And I was like, what's that about? And they're like, well, people are just super hammered and things close early. The bars close early there. And so it's like, and the restaurants stay open later. And people just make bad decisions like they do here. But I was like, wow, deep fried pizza has not taken off in the States yet.
No, I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah, me too. And I said, how was it? And they're like, it's horrible, but it gets the job done.
Doesn't strike me as something I'd be seeking out.
No. It's kind of hard to imagine. I'm like, so what? It's breaded or what? Like, pizza's already greasy goodness. To have more on it just seemed, yeah.
It is weird. Like the UK, I can't even think of really. I don't think I've ever eaten while this like at dark, like at night in the UK ever.
Really?
Like any food I've ever had has been like, I'm done eating by like 6 p.m.
Huh. Yeah, no, we've done night eating for sure in Glasgow. But it's also weird because like then public transportation's cut off early. Like there's things, it's just a weird shuttering of things like that surprised me in terms of like, oh, the city's shut down. It's done. Glasgow's closed. When you're you're like, how Glasgow doesn't go beyond midnight? Like what?
Yeah, it's weird. It's yeah, and like there'll be like a fish and chips shop that's like, oh, they close at 4:30.
Right.
And then you go, like, why would they do that? But they could make money for the next 6 hours.
No, I've been in weird things where it's like, oh, somebody here has a key to their own like little speakeasy. We're going there afterwards. They get the keys. We go in. They've got a little bar and they have a little DJ station and stuff. It's just weird, but I love it because, I don't know. It's still a mystery to me, the UK. I still love the surprises there.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I mean, I think in general, it's better to, I mean, I kind of like, it stresses me out sometimes, especially doing shows there where you're like, oh, I have an hour window to have a beer or whatever.
Yeah. Let's get going. I was reading, and I don't know if this is true, but they were saying that this film was kind of the beginning of a little less popularity in terms of their career for a while in the like mid to late 70s. Yeah,
well, it's funny. I mean, on the Wikipedia page, there's like, there's the different eras, and it's like decline, and then there's some other era, and then it's called second decline.
Oh my God.
I mean, they're kind of being such like a massive band, and such a successful band. They really it is kind of a sad, like they just kind of petered out, like, and like, Noddy Holder left the band. Noddy and Jim Lee. I mean, basically they broke up like, they were in their 40s or whatever. And then Dave Hill and Don Powell like started doing Slade 2, which is, no Noddy, no Slade in my mind.
Slade 2 also is like, that's a really horrible name. Like,
I know it is really.
Like,
I mean, I think I could be wrong, but I think that that scene in Spinal Tap when they're like talking about the different bands, I think that may have was inspired by Slade. I could be wrong.
I could totally see it.
But it's like, if you look at Slade's history, it's basically that. Like what that scene in Spinal Tap when they were outside talking about like the drummer that combusted.
There's a documentary that I had at the video store that was on like the end of a VHS greatest hits thing. And they're older. Yeah, they're in their 40s and they're outside and they are talking about the different times. And, and if they're, this is when their hair is like kind of poofed up. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, like you said, the MTV thing. They've had the second run.
Yeah, and they got like bad 80s blazers on.
Yes, yeah.
The Dave Hill beard period is the worst era of Slade, when he's got a beard.
No, you got to give it to Noddy. Dave, you're clean cut.
Yeah. Also, an interesting thing about that band is they never appeared. I don't think they were ever, even when they were young, they were never young men. Like they always looked fully grown men. Like Lynyrd Skynyrd never looked like a bunch of young guys. Even when they were like 20, they looked like middle-aged men.
That's a really good point. Yeah, Slade did not look like the Sweet.
No, they looked like when they were just kids, they looked like, oh, they're middle-aged men.
Well, they also looked like they could kick your ass. You know what I mean? Like they definitely had a look of a gang that comes really apparent in this film of like, yeah, we will kick off and we're not afraid to throw down in a way where like, yeah, I don't imagine the Sweet being like, let's fight.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Plus, I don't know. I'm probably getting this wrong, but I feel like the Sweet did they write all their own songs?
I think they had a team, right? They had those guys.
I don't think it was like an organic situation.
Yeah.
But not to take anything away from them.
No, they're great. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of like, it's funny because are Slade, do you consider them glam or what do you consider them?
Well, glam in the term of, not in the American 80s sense of it, but in the, when I think glam in that, Bowie, T-Rex, and then, Sweet and Slade kind of, and Wizard, British glam to me.
Yeah, but it's weird. You have like Roxy Music over here and you have like Slade over here. It's so broad, kind of,
It is, yeah, but I think it's ultimately, I don't know, glam is just like willingness to acknowledge one's feminine side, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Or aesthetically, but assuming it's a bunch of dudes, I guess. No, that's not because then at the same time you had like Suzi Quatro and like all that happening.
I guess it's just the name that like anything, like, I mean, I grew up, I was part of grunge, I was on Sub Pop in 91. I was like, yeah, I am grunge.
Which band?
It's called Sprinkler.
Oh yeah.
We put out a record in a 7-inch. Yeah.
Your album, I feel like didn't you work with Doug Olson?
Yeah, Smart Studios?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
He's a friend of mine. I just texted with him the other night.
Oh, tell him hi. Yeah.
I remember that. The album was like in true 90s fashion, I believe, was like an amusement park or something.
Yes, it was. Yes.
That was during the retro amusement park photo boom of the early 90s.
Yes. It's like, how can we make this look AI without AI? Because everyone had access all of a sudden to computers. And then, but they were also trying to use photography. And so it was a weird meshing of like, a lot of that stuff is just visually aged so interestingly because it's like time stamped. But I think it was also the era where bands were like, we're going to make our own covers. We can do it now. Like we're taking over. We're going to design it all and give it to you. Bands from the underground. So, but yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that was my band. Yeah. So, but nice. It was like grunge. Yeah, I guess that's what you're writing about. That's what you're calling us. So they weren't wrong. Mm-hmm. We didn't sound like Combustible Edison yet. 3 years later, everyone's like, Cocktail Nation. Okay, we're not that. Yeah, tell him hi. That's great.
I will. Yeah,
he was great. It's brilliant. It's sweet guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you good? I mean, you're like, oh, I'm Bill Murray here, Pucifer here, Jason Narducci REM thing here, my own thing, Kevin McDonald, your one-man show. Like, are you good at sitting with yourself? Like, do you need to be on the move? Are you good with just sitting still?
I think I'm fine sitting still. I really only want to sit still, to be honest. I would just like to sit and eat cheese with my girlfriend and our dog. Didn't do nothing else if I could. But I do like to draw and paint and play the guitar. And I like everything I do, but I would be perfectly content just doing those things and then having snacks, some coffee, some wine.
Well, I will put links in the show notes here for Dave's upcoming date. So support him so he can stay home more. Okay.
Well, that's my plan. My thinking is I just go and do stuff. And because eventually I figure the time will come where I will just be sitting there doing not much else with it, arguably a faint scent of urine in the air. That day will come.
Yes, exactly. Especially by the time we get to talk about Harder They Come, I think both of us will be well on our way.
Oh, I'm in. Well, we can do that. I'm ready to talk about that.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Revolutions Per Movie. Today, we're here with Dave Hill. Again, hi, Dave. We're going to be talking about The Harder They Come. Then after that, we're going to take a little brief detour into a little Led Zeppelin, the new Becoming Zeppelin film.
I haven't seen that yet. I started watching that and then I fell asleep. But I've seen Harder They Come maybe more than any other movie. I just put it on. I mean, there's a lot of movies I put on that I just put on just to be in that world for a little bit. Like, it's where I know I'm like, I'm going to fall asleep in 20 minutes. But
right.
For my remaining time of being awake, I want to be in Kingston in 1970, whatever.
Well, we'll get there. We will get there next time. But in the meantime, I do have to ask you.
Yes.
The final question. I always ask the same question, but I tailor it depending on what we're talking about. So on a scale of 1 toe being severed to 10 toes being severed being the top. So 1 toe is the lowest, 10 toes being severed being the top. How many cut off toes in the name of Slade do you give the greatness of Slade and the film Slade In Flame on a scale of 1 toe being cut off to 10 toes being cut off?
Well, Slade, the band, I would say that's 10 toes. Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, the only thing I'll say to detract from Slade is the same thing I'd say about, but it's also part of their appeal to my mind. Same way I feel about Cheap Trick is they are both amazing bands with so much great music, and this is what endears them to me or me to them. Probably both ways, is that I think they're both kind of mortal. You know what I mean? Like, neither one of them are the Beatles or the Stones or Zeppelin. But I think that's almost why, one of the reasons I love them so much is because, like, they've both made some horrible music. They've had some big swings and misses.
Yes.
You know, both, and they've made some, you know, The Flame, not In Flame, but The Flame. Cheap
Right,
Trick.
The Flame, right.
You know,
which they always have to play, which is a bummer.
Yeah, which they didn't write, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, and Slade, you know, has some misses. Really only in the latter era, I think. But no, I would say 10 toes. The movie, I would say maybe not as many toes, only because it doesn't quite deliver on the ecstasy of Slade.
You're right. It is 10 toes, as you can see here. 10 severed toes. That is correct in terms of Slade. I would give a 7 severed toes for the movie. I think
that's what I was going to say.
I think it's worth checking out. And also, in retrospect, it's getting all this love and accolades. Like, Mojo considers it like one of the greatest music films of all time. It won like a Vision Award retroactively for just being just a unique UK independent film.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's, you know, and I give it credit for not, you know, it wasn't like a big celebration of the band, which is what you would think they would have just done. You know, been like, oh, let's just prop up, let's just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, Slade. Like, it's not what the movie is, you know?
And they're pretty good actors.
No, the scene when Don Powell gets up in the first class car to go use the bathroom, or the toilet as they call it, and he's got the tablecloth tucked into his pants, his trousers as they call them, and it clears that's, you know, that's Meisner right there.
It's so good to see you, Dave.
You too.
Again, big kisses to Slade. They rule. Track this film down. It's kind of hard to find. You can get it on DVD still. But yeah, totally worth seeing.
Yeah, it's online somewhere on like it's on some service that it's on something now. It's one of those things where you pay just to see the one thing and you forget, and then you're like, why have I been paying for this? Why did I spend $100 to watch this one movie?
Thank you for listening to Revolutions Per Movie. We release new episodes every Thursday on your favorite podcast app and additional bonus episodes every Sunday on our Patreon. The show is a completely independent affair, so the best way to support the show is through our Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionspermovie, where you can get weekly bonus episodes and shows, exclusive limited edition flexi discs and records and CDs featuring guests that have appeared on the show, and other exclusive goods sent to you just for joining. You can follow us on social media at Revolutions Per Movie, and also find out more information about our various guests in the episode show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye!